Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope your week's going well. Um, just wanted to do a quick video here. I was driving down the road and I saw one of the little placards up for UFC. I guess they're going to have a fight here soon, so it's interesting. Figured I'd do a video on it the more I thought about it. Just to be fair, I have been to at least one UFC fight. I think maybe two, possibly. Um, yeah, it was when I was younger, obviously. So I just wanted to give my input on it. I found this one little clip. I wanted to do a tiny bit of research on this, even though I kind of know where I'm going. But if you want to look over here, let's see if I can get this pulled up correctly. Here's this gentleman here. I think this is Dana White, I guess the owner of UFC or CEO, something. So let's see what he's got to say.
They want to hear about the fight. It's awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
That's an interesting statement. Let me make sure I didn't misunderstand here.
Hear about the fight. It's awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
Love Jesus all you want, you just don't have to do it publicly. Interesting position, but for someone who runs or has a large part in this particular business, that statement doesn't surprise me at all. It's kind of exactly what I would expect to hear come out of his mouth. So, let's jump over here. Give me 1 second here. Let me make sure I get the right one pulled up. There we go. All right. Let's see. So, as far as the UFC goes, I'm just going to narrow it down here to like the 7 deadliest sins. We'll just go with those. I mean, there's many others, of course, but I think this will be fine for discussion point. So, the UFC. Like I said, I went to it at least once, maybe twice. It might have been twice, but I went to it. What did I see? I saw people, the general crowd that I saw in those limited events that I went to. I mean, from a few things I've seen on TV, I think it's pretty much on par with the rest of the UFC crowd. But what did I see? Lots of drinking, lots of cussing, very aggressive behavior, very like type A, masculine, lots of masculinity, like toxic masculinity. I hate to use that term. I know it's kind of loaded, but it is what it is. More of an aggressive crowd, especially when they drink. They kind of get that bloodlust, right? I mean, look at what they're going to watch. You're going to watch two men or women, depending on the event, get in a cage maybe, depending on the style of fighting, right? So they get in there, they scream at each other. We'll get to wrath in a second, but they look at each other. They're saying all kinds of insults, whatever. They basically want to destroy each other. It's probably how you have to think to work in that kind of industry. But yeah, you get two human beings, two of children of God. You put them in the ring, and they basically try to get as close to killing each other as they can, without actually killing them. Beat them up, smash their brain against the inside of their skull, cause all kinds of damage that'll come up later on, twist their arms up, bust their tendons, whatever they can do. They're basically just trying to get you to submit in front of everyone so that they can feel very proud about themselves. Lots of pride. So they can also make money. They're literally beating people up for money. That's what the UFC is. It's no different than Coliseum times. I mean, I'm sure if Dana could get a couple lions in there to tear people apart in the ring, I'm sure he'd do it, right? It'd be good for the shareholders if they're publicly traded. I don't know if they are. I'm sure they have shareholders of some type. But yeah, I mean, that's his business, right? Violence, sex, pride, things like that. I mean, that's his business. So I'm sure if it was legal, he'd get some lions up in there and just tear people apart. They could, maybe get like some plastic wrap or something, and they could just throw the blood all over the people in the front row. They'd probably pay a little bit more for those seats. But yeah, that's it. It's a violence business. It's a lust business. So let's just go through a few of these. I mean, that's what I saw, right? People, they're drinking, they're aggressive. They like violence. Why else would they be there? All right? People that go to UFC, they want to see violence. That's the name of the game. That's what you're paying for. You want to see the blood. You want to see the arms getting snapped up, people getting choked out. That's what you're into, right? That's why you went. That's why I went at the time. Half of it was, I'd never been to one, so I was kind of curious. I'd seen boxing on TV, which really isn't much different. This one's way worse. But yeah, That's what it is. It's a violence business. So let's go through some of these. The 7 deadliest sins here. Lust. Absolutely, right? Strong passion or longing, especially for sexual desires. So I'm not sure if you've seen the ring girls running around, but I think we can pretty much check off this box. It's all about lust, right? That's why they're wearing next to nothing, walking around as sexual objects. You don't care what they're thinking. You don't care what they do for a living, aside from what you see. The only thing you're worried about is what they're wearing and the fact that they're prancing around with the little placard telling you what round they're in or whatever. And I'm guessing if you look at the crowd at a UFC event, you'll probably see some lustful dress. There's probably not that much modesty. Not that I've been to a lot of these, to be fair. I've been to one or two. That's what I noticed. For you folks that go to these, maybe you can tell me what the crowd's wearing. Typical female or male in the crowd. How are they dressed? Anybody out there dressed modestly? Any of them? Maybe a few? Okay. So we'll check the box on this one. Gluttony. Oof. Even I struggle with this one. I do eat a little too much, I'll be honest. Excessive and ongoing eating of food or drink. I guess that happens while you're out there. I don't know. I'm not sure on this one. Alcohol for sure. I guess we'll go ahead and touch on alcohol here. I'm pretty sure you could drink at these events. I've seen some of the sponsors, I guess beer and tequila maybe, stuff like that, Modelo beer. Right. Alcohol is terrible for you. And what are they going to do? They're going to sell you alcohol because it makes money. And it makes you rowdier. And you'll love to see that blood even more. You'll be all about it. Same thing at football games, right? It's a violent sport. You're paying for violence. This is a whole different level here. This is literally like gladiator type stuff. But yeah, as far as drink goes, we'll go ahead and throw alcohol in there. Getting drunk, watching people beat each other half to death. Hey, that's your idea of a good time. It's a sin, but, you have free will. So let's move. Greed. Excessive pursuit of material goods. Yeah. I think we can definitely check the box on this one. I looked it up. I think it was 2022. They grossed over like a billion in revenue, something like that. Probably be higher this year. People love violence. So greed's definitely a part of it. And for all these people, that are in the UFC, you're getting paid to maul people, to beat them up, to choke them out, snap limbs, whatever you can do, right? And you're doing it for money. You're literally hurting God's children for cash, for money. So you can buy stuff. So you can buy cars and motorcycles and houses and whatever you buy. It doesn't really matter. But that's what you're doing. You beat people up for money. That's your job. So, yeah, definitely greed. There's probably a lot of money going around there if you win those. You get the big gold belt you can put on, right? Gold. Awesome, isn't it? Get the big gold belt, make you feel good about yourself. Let people know how much gold you have and how fancy you are and how good of a fighter you are. Yeah, greed's definitely a part of that. So we'll check the box on that one. Sloth. Excessive laziness or the failure to act and utilize one's talents. I don't know. I mean, I would guess that they have to work pretty hard to get in that good of shape and, learn these skills, the mixed martial arts and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not sure on the sloth part. We might leave that one alone. And I'm sure they have other talents besides beating people up. So maybe they could work on those talents instead of just hurting people for cash. It's just a thought. But, yeah, that's about it on that one. Failure to act. Yeah, not too much on the sloth there, I guess. This one, absolutely. Wrath, 100%. Look at how they look at each other when they get in the ring, right? And they're taunting each other, and they're dancing around, looking at each other, staring at each other, like bumping each other's foreheads against each other. That's wrath, man. That's pure anger. Strong anger and hate towards another person. They probably teach you that, right, in the UFC. Like, I'm sure it's like some ring person's like, look, that's your enemy. You need to go in there. You need to destroy them. Destroy that person. When that person is just trying to get paid like you are, right? You want to get paid for violence. They want to get paid for violence. You're both exactly the same. The only difference is you're on different sides of the ring. That's all. Still wrath. They probably train you to hate that person, right? To go in there and just take them out. Do whatever you got to do. And you will. It's the profession you've chosen. Or that's the profession you've decided to watch and follow and probably emulate, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being able to defend yourself, right? People have free will. They do nasty things with it. So I understand if somebody, or kids or young adults or whatever, you want to go out there and learn how to defend yourself, mixed martial arts for defense, things like that. That's one thing. You should be able to defend yourself. There are people out there that make horrible decisions and they hurt other children of God. Should you be able to defend yourself? Yes. Why not? God doesn't say you have to sit there like a punching bag and just get dumped on. You're allowed to defend yourself. The difference is these people are out there beating up people for cash. That's what it is, right? It's your pride. It's your ego. You want to be the best fighter. You want to go out there and beat people up and have the crowd cheering for you like, oh, you're amazing. Oh, you beat that person up. You choked him out. You put him in the hospital. Congratulations. Here's some cash. That's the business you're in. So that goes way beyond being able to defend yourself. When you're in front of the cameras and you're putting on the gold belt and you're prancing around the stage and you want the adoration of the crowd screaming for you with that bloodlust, right? They want you to punch them in the face harder, kick them in the throat, whatever it is you do. It's a bloodlust. They want to see it. It's just no different than the Coliseum, right? People would sit back and be like, I can't believe people would go watch that. These animals would be tearing each other up or tearing these people up, or you'd have these gladiators killing each other. It's no different. It's the same thing today. May not have the animals in there. I mean, you murder plenty of them. You just don't do it for sport on TV. You just, beat each other up. So, wrath, we definitely check the box on that one. Envy, the intense desire to have an item that someone else possesses. Yeah, that could be anything really. So, yeah, envy. These folks make a lot of money. The ones that are good, I'm guessing, right? There's lots of endorsements and things like that. They make money. I'm sure they have very nice cars, and image is part of their business, right? They need to be on Instagram or whatever, like showing all the stuff they have and showing how successful they are, which creates envy in other people, right? Because you're being showy, you're making other people envious of you, of the things that you own that you won't be taking with you. So all this money and stuff that you're acquiring, you're leaving every bit of it here. You're not taking any of it with you before you transition. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, because as far as like eternal impact, little to none. It can make your life a little bit easier while you're here. As far as material goods go, spiritually, it's not going to do anything for you. It'll probably make your spiritual journey way harder, because you'll no longer have humility and compassion. You'll just be all about yourself and money and acquiring things, and then showing people how many things you've acquired for, beating up said person. So, envy, definitely check the box on this one. Whew. This one, probably, I would say one of the worst with UFC is pride. I was going to show the video and show like some of the knockouts or whatever that people have gotten, but I don't really want to like support the industry. So I can't. I was going to do it. It would kind of make sense, because you see them like strutting around the cage and like beating their chest and showing people how amazing they are, and talking trash. So I was going to put that up there. I don't really want to support it. And, if you're watching this video, maybe you've seen that stuff before anyway. Maybe you're a fan. I don't know. An excessive view of oneself without regard for others. And without regard for others, that's basically the start of all sin. Being self-centered, right? Not caring about others at all. And these people are definitely proud. At least the ones that I've seen. In UFC, correct me if you like, but definitely pride's going to be a huge issue on this one. You want to be big and muscular and proud of that, and you're going to be like, oh, look at these 32 people. I beat them all up or choked them out, and look at me. And you run around the cage. So pride is a huge issue. But we've checked the box on many of these. But it's violence. It's violence for cash. That's the business you're in. And they're getting over $1 billion a year. So it's not like 5 or 10 people out there that enjoy this type of violence. It's a lot of you. And I really don't understand, like, let's say you're Christian. I'm sure, right? In the UFC crowd, if you take that crowd of however many thousands of people that is, I'm sure if you ask them, like, how many Christians do we have out here? Show of hands. There'd probably be quite a few, I guess. But I don't understand, like, how you can be a Christian and be a fan of the UFC. I don't understand it. Right? That's coming from Christ. I don't get it. Christ, Emmanuel, whatever you'd like to call me. Um, you love a sport and you go watch it where people get money to beat people up. When you boil it down, that's what you're watching. You're watching violence. You love to watch people run around the cage and be proud of themselves and then get angry and stare someone down and then go in there and beat them up and kick them in the face and choke them out. That's the kind of person you are. That's what you like to watch. That's a pastime for you. You enjoy it. And you pay money and you support that industry. So, I mean, that's just something you're going to ask yourself, right? Christ, right? At least the previous one, Jesus, right? That was the previous one. Jesus wasn't about violence. Very nonviolent. He's all about humility, right? Let's see. Patience cures wrath. Understanding the needs, desires of others, acting or speaking. Yeah. Humility cures pride, right? Jesus was very humble. He practiced humility. Do you see any humility in the UFC? Any of these fighters, do they seem humble at all? No, it's not about humility. It's about wrath and anger and beating people up. That's what it's for. So, you can call yourself a Christian. I would just ask you to maybe, I don't know, have a conversation with yourself about that. And just ask yourself, like, what is it about the UFC that has anything to do with Christianity? Right? And then, let's jump back over here. I mean, let's go listen to the CEO himself, right? I don't want to misinterpret what he said. Let's hear what he said.
Hear about the fight. It's awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
Right. So Dana doesn't seem like a big fan of Jesus. And I totally get it. His business has nothing to do with Christianity. I'm confused that you would even have any Christians that would enjoy this sport. Do you think that if Jesus was there from a couple thousand years ago, he'd be propped up out there watching UFC? Absolutely not. Right? I'm Christ, Emmanuel. Do you think I would go watch UFC? No. What am I going to see? A bunch of drunk people in the crowd screaming for blood. A bunch of people in there raging, staring at each other, acting crazy and then beating each other up and choking each other out for the crowd. Bunch of scantily clad women running around with placards showing you what round you're in. Not to mention all the people in the crowd who, guess what? They probably emulate that. So I'm guessing there's not a whole lot of conservative dress going on in a UFC match, if I had to guess. I could spend the money and go watch just to prove myself correct, but I don't think I need to. Some of you have been to these, right? Ask yourself, how do people dress there? Are they conservative? Are they out there cussing a lot? Which, hey, sometimes I get upset. I let a few fly myself. It happens, so I get it. But I think it's very prevalent in that industry, I would guess. I don't know anything about the drug usage or steroids or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that area. Maybe, right? I know in wrestling it was big, so maybe it's a big thing in UFC. I don't know. It's just, there's absolutely nothing Christian about that sport. So if you're a Christian and you're going to UFC, I would just ask you to, I don't know, just think about it. Number one, do you think Christ would go to that event? The answer is no. And then you can ask yourself, well, you consider yourself a Christian, right? Right? You're trying to be like Christ. So what are you doing there? Why are you there? You're there because you love violence. You love violence, and you love to see people get choked out and beat up for cash, for money, and for fame, right? And all the things that come along with fame. More money, choice of your partner being very easy. Fame, right? You want fame, you want power, and you want to be able to maul people in front of other people. It's kind of sick. But, yeah, so, we're having one of those events coming to Jacksonville soon. I don't know who it's going to be. I just happened to pass by, and they had it up on the billboard there. But I just figured I would talk about it. Because, just like he said, that this fellow here, he says, hey, he doesn't want to hear about Jesus. Do that at home. He doesn't want to hear about it. And I get it. Because if people actually analyzed what that sport was all about, you wouldn't have any Christian fans out there. Because I don't see how you can be a Christian and support a business like this. where you beat people up for cash, right? And then you get women to walk around and basically nothing, right? Holding the placards, walking around, right? So you're selling sex. I've seen some of the sponsors. Let me see. Bitcoin, get rich quick. What else we got? I think Modelo, alcohol. I don't know if tequila might have been one of them. There was like DraftKings. What was it? Gambling? Okay, wonderful. That makes sense. Who knows what else they got? They probably got some gun manufacturers. I don't know. But yeah, seems like kind of a horrible business. And you should really ask yourself, if you're a Christian and you follow the UFC and you spend your money and you give your money to a person like this, who says that if you like Jesus, well, shut up and do that at home. I don't want to hear about it. So if you're giving your money to this business, to this person, I would just ask you to investigate that internally, right? Go consult your Bible. Ask yourself, is this a Christian? Would a Christian go to this event? Right? Would a Christian go to this event to watch people maul each other for cash and watch women prance around in almost nothing? I don't think they would.
I want to hear about the fight. It's awesome that you love Jesus. Love Jesus all you want. Just don't have to do it publicly.
There you go. So that's who you're giving your money to. And, that's my opinion on the UFC. So I'll never go again, obviously. There's nothing there for me. It's nothing but a sin den. Like I said, if it was legal to throw lions in there and tear people apart, yeah, he'd probably do it. Because he'd make money. And he seems like a guy that loves money. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that. They'll do whatever they have to do. They're not worried about the sin. They're just trying to make money, right? I'm a businessman. As they say, I'm just a businessman. I'm just trying to make money. Well, just an FYI, that money is not going to do anything for you once you die. So you should really try to act in such a way that you're going to protect your future. And I don't mean your future in that body. I mean your future after you leave that body. So I'll be praying for you all. Be careful which businesses and industries you support. And if you're a Christian, you need to really ask yourself, what is it about the UFC that has anything to do with Christianity? That's it. Have a great day.